This is our homily for Sunday, May 18th, the fifth Sunday of Easter. One Sunday, a priest was finishing up a series on marriage. At the end of the service, he was giving out small wooden crosses to each married couple. He said, "Place this cross in the room in which you fight the most, and you will be reminded of Jesus' new commandment, and you won't argue as much." After the service, a woman came up to him and said, "Father, you better give us 5 crosses." We laugh, but unfortunately our relationships are sometimes this way, trying to win or be the best over someone else. This is becoming more and more prevalent in our culture, as our politics and presidential campaigning have demonstrated. It can seem like our culture has lost all its culture, not to mention gospel values. The name calling, the putting down of people and whole groups of people, the dividing, the invitation to hate and fear. I have 2 concerns about this. First, what are the long-term effects? Do we really want to model to our children and grandchildren and to ourselves that this behavior is acceptable? Is this how we want to approach problems? And second, all the energy wasted on that stuff is taking away from really dealing with the issues that need to be dealt with in a reasonable and timely manner. This is not what we are called to as followers of Christ. In our reading from Revelations that we just heard, we're promised a new earth, a new heaven, a new Jerusalem. We are told, quote, "I make all things new," end quote. And this is what Jesus does by the way he lives his life and by the example he gives us. He shows us a new way to live and tells us, "I give you a new commandment. Love one another. As I have loved you, love one another." We have heard this new commandment over and over, but is it making a difference in our lives? How did Jesus love? During his life on earth, Jesus was lovingly present to those who were not lovable or accepted, lepers, prostitutes, and so on. Jesus allowed himself to be moved to pity and compassion when he encountered those in need, and he was moved to tears in the midst of sadness. He openly shed tears at the tomb of Lazarus. He shed tears over the city of Jerusalem. Even in his anger, Jesus displayed in the temple was rooted in his love for the poor, who were being exploited by religious leaders in his Father's name. Finally, Jesus loved by serving others, by helping them and healing them. His was a love that healed and built up, that challenged and inspired people. It was a deeply forgiving and self-sacrificial love. We cannot buy into the hate and fear and dividing that is going on in our country today. We are called to imitate Jesus, to live as he did to the best of our ability. We will never do it perfectly, but we can grow in our ability to love as Jesus did. Here is a perfect example of what I was talking about. One day, as Mother Teresa of Calcutta and her missionaries of charity were tending to the poor on the streets of Calcutta, they happened across a man lying in the gutter, very near death. He was filthy, dressed in little more than a rag, and flies swarmed around his body. Immediately, Mother Teresa lovingly lifted him up, cleaned his body, spoke to him softly, and laid him comfortably in her ambulance. A passerby was repulsed by the sight of the man and exclaimed to Mother Teresa, "I wouldn't do that for $1 million." And Mother Teresa's response was immediate, "Neither would I." This example demonstrates a central aspect of loving as Jesus loved, being willing to put aside our comfort and needs in the service of others. It is thinking of the other person and that person's feelings, and not just of yourself. It is asking ourselves, what would Jesus do? How different would our country, our families, our workplaces, our communities be if everyone who calls themselves Christian was trying to imitate these attitudes and actions? So the reflection I invite us on this week: am I making sincere efforts to love as Jesus loved? Am I part of the name-calling and hatred being spewed in our country today? Where am I the most selfish? What concrete plan can I make to make sure that I grow? And as we struggle to be more loving disciples of Jesus, let us support each other in prayer. Amen.